Happy Wednesday and welcome to VLX TV. I hope you guys are having an awesome week so far. I hope spring is starting to spring wherever you are, or if you're watching this from Australia or somewhere very distant, then I know things are different for you. But for you girls in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope that some flowers are popping and temperatures lightening up and it's getting gorgeous. It certainly is here. So what I want to talk about this week is something slightly not really controversial, but I think one of those things that we kind of have in the back of our minds, but we don't really admit to, and that is, are we judging our friends who are in network marketing? And of course, I'm here in a Facebook group talking to you about this, right? And by the way, before I go on, I'd like to say, one, this ring is fake, it was $19, and two, I have one hand painted and the other hand did not quite get there. So we'll do it like that, right? It looks like a peacock or something. So anyway, maybe you guys have been placed in a lot of Facebook groups for random virtual parties for products that you don't recognize by a friend who you're not quite sure what her motives are. So there are a lot of hate forums about these things. There's a lot of the girls who do these kinds of things who are defending themselves, understandably. And so I feel like this is going to be a pretty interesting conversation to have, and let's get juicy, right? And of course, we're also looking at this from a Christian perspective. We don't want to be judging other people anyway, but when we don't fully understand something and we can feel, or we can actually be, drug into something kind of without our permission, things can get a little ugly and a little unfortunate. So let's discuss this today. How many of you guys have been, I don't want to say hoodwinked, but that was the word that came to mind, by someone who is selling some kind of candle, or I don't even know everything that's offered, or stamps or jewelry or nail wraps, or a body cream or a shake of some kind, or help me out here, guys. There's the skincare, oils, essential oils, right? There's lots of these. And don't worry, girls who do this, I'm not gonna slam you under the bus. I'm actually gonna help defend you here, okay? But just how many of you guys have been approached by someone who does something like that, and maybe your experience was beautiful, and that is, I think, the way that it can be done. I think that this can be done really well. But I'll get to that in a minute. But it can also be done really poorly, right? It can be done really, really poorly. I remember this one lady who I had a friend in common with from church, but had not met in person. And she reached out to me and was like, hey, just whatever. I don't even remember what the original message was. Something like, you beautiful family, and it's just so fun to connect on here. I love what you're doing, yada, yada, yada. I thought, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. And then she started asking me if I would be interested in joining her team, and I was very flattered. And I don't know that I initially responded. I can't remember. I don't think I was trying to run away, but at the time, and here's a very important thing, I may have felt less comfortable saying no than I do now. I'm very, very comfortable saying no, very lovingly, but very firmly and very unconditionally. Unconditional no. So I kind of just hid, but this woman didn't take that as an answer. And so she probably sent me 30 to 50 messages over the next couple months, even though I was not responding. And finally, I just blocked her from my messages. And she's such a nice lady, but it's kind of like a guy who approaches you at the airport and doesn't get the hint. And you're just like, I'm going to have to leave and walk over toward where security is then. I don't think you're getting the memo. So it can be done really poorly. Then there was this other really sweet lady who, for the same company actually, I don't know if they teach maybe more aggressive tactics there, maybe not, approached me to Starbucks. And apparently she had her kind of upline coach, if you guys know what that means. It's the person who they work with, who's a little bit above them, a little bit beyond them, who approached me at a Starbucks, came up and was like, oh, you have gorgeous skin, and yada, 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 and would you ever be interested in doing this? And I don't remember my response again, but it was along the lines of, I'll think about it or no. And she was very sweet and kind of let me go and touched base with me later, found me on Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that, but never pestered me. And I have always thought fondly of her, even though I don't really know her, and I told her no, right? So I want to kind of just set the stage here. I want to just explain what's going on, right? Network marketing has had a big resurgence, is what a lot of people would call it. There was the kind of Mary Kay Avon days, not that they're gone, but there was that surge, and then now we're back, and there's this new wave of women primarily who are joining network marketing companies and building a stay-at-home business. And there's really nothing wrong with it, is the first thing, right? These things are very closely monitored by the Trade Commission. I think that's the one that it's called. Forgive me, I don't know my government agencies very well. But they're very closely watched. And the ones that are doing anything that truly is a poor business practice are shut down or eliminated. So these are not bad companies necessarily, right? The ones that are taken out of commission kind of, but the ones that remain are generally doing things well. They're just not training these masses of women who are signing up through a form online with, a couple $100 maybe, how to do business well. So the first thing I want you to know is that the companies themselves are not that bad, right? Usually they're selling a product, which is generally a decent product, and they're providing a service or meeting a need, kind of like we've been talking about. They're providing a service or a need that people do like or do have or do want or do need. And so in and of itself, it's not that bad. The business structure is one of the things that's often critiqued. They are often dismissed as a pyramid scheme. And so I would love to just explain for a second why that really is, it may be accurate, but it's not accurate in the way people are using it. So if you think of a pyramid, right, there's a person in power at the top who has the most control and is making the most money. And then from down, they have people who they've hired to help them build their business at different ranks, different levels. And so maybe you have, let's use a traditional business structure. You have a CEO, and then you have executive directors, and then you have managers, and then you have project managers, and then you have admins, admin assistants, right? And so that's a pyramid. Think about the American government. We have the president, and I realize that there's like a little kind of three, thing up there, but he does have veto power, and there's a lot of power just in him. And then you kind of go down to all the people who work from him, and there's very trusted people at the top, and then it goes down, and it goes down, and it goes down. And then you've got the people who are, working at the post office who are technically government employees, but they don't have the power or the income, most likely, of the president, right? Think of the military. You've got in the Marine Corps, the commandant is at the top. And you've got all these generals with different star rankings, and you've got colonels, lieutenant colonels, majors. And as you go down, there's more of them. They get paid less, and they do less important or impressive work, and they have less power. So I do often see people saying, oh, that's a pyramid scheme. And I would love for us all to be educated well enough to go, almost everything is a pyramid scheme. Almost everything is a pyramid scheme. So let's just at least remove that argument or way of really being upset about this from our vocabulary, because it's not really accurate. And the reason that it's not accurate for most of these businesses is that people will say, well, you only make money by signing up other people, and that's really not true. Most of these businesses have a product that they sell that someone can earn commissions on, and so there is something being delivered. There's a product, a good being delivered, and it's not a true scam in the sense of there is nothing being delivered and someone is being tricked into signing up who then has to go trick someone else into signing up. That's not the case. People are signing up people to see if they would also like to sell this product, which actually provides a service, and then they go on down like that. But everyone has the role of selling a legitimate product to the marketplace and filling a need, and that's why it's not a scam and it's not a scheme. But it is a pyramid like every other power structure out there. So that being said, just because there is a legitimate business structure, a decent business goal, that doesn't mean that the women who are doing it well. But you can't blame them for signing up and wanting to join these things, because there are a lot of women who have done tremendously well in these companies, doing great work, helping people with a good product and helping other people change their lives. I particularly, my bent would be, if I had to pick an area, it would be toward the health products, because I, as you all probably are not surprised to know, find health and wellness to be one of the most important fundamental aspects of a healthy life. I don't think you really need a certain brand of jewelry to be happy. I think you really need a healthy, happy body to be happy and to be flourishing. So I would veer toward that one personally, but most of these companies have had ways where people have been able to change their lives. They've brought in more finance for their families. They are healthier in some way, perhaps. So they really are doing well. And I have heard a statistic, and it is known to be undocumented. No one knows the source, and so you call it a statistic or call it hearsay, but it is an interesting concept, because from having been around this world and having been around the traditional but the other entrepreneurs who aren't in these companies world, having seen the corporate world, having seen lawyers and doctors. I went to Johns Hopkins as an undergrad. I've seen lots of these people. I'm seeing what they're doing now. Apparently, I think 80% of women, they say, who are making six figures do it in network marketing companies. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I know it might seem like, well, I've heard about those women, but they don't exist. And I'll tell you, I just met with a woman over this last weekend. We were in Destin, Florida, and she is a very successful blogger. She runs a blog about organic food, an online blog, and she has a couple cookbooks, 100,000 likes on Facebook, and traditional publisher book deals, a big, real deal, established girl. And woman, I should say. And she just, in the last maybe 2 years or so, joined one of the marketing companies that has a product that can help support her followers. That's a health product that helps them solve a problem that she kept finding the people who were coming to her had. So she thought, well, this is silly. I'm teaching how to do this. I may as well get compensated for it. So she joined. And because she understands online business and she already knows how to run webinars and Facebook ads and do branding and reach out to people through this whole medium that most of these women don't really understand, she's killed it. And in 2 years, she's their top recruiter and she's made six figures, and everyone in the company is like, who is this? Who's this? What's her name? So she's completely coming out of the blue. So it is possible to do this. It's possible to do it well. The products are often decent. It's just, most people aren't doing it well. So if you've been spammed, if you've been cornered, if you've run out of the grocery store because there's that friend who's hawking that thing, then I want to, first of all, encourage you to return to love, right? I want to encourage you to return to a place of love and not attack. Because she's doing something that isn't evil, that isn't wrong, that isn't even impossible to understand how she could have gotten into it, because it is a good thing and many people are succeeding at it, and there's a promise and a dream, and if there was a call in her heart to try to create that too, then fantastic. Now, her job, and she may or may not be living it out, and it's not your job to make her do her job, it's only your job to do your job. Her job is to offer an opportunity to you potentially and be okay if you say no, right? Now, a lot of people do follow up, and that's understandable because many of the greatest success stories in these companies are people who at first were very, very skeptical and said no. And the person said, 2 or 3 months later, hey, just wanted to check in, just see if you were still interested in this. And that was, I think, that first woman I talked about's idea with me, and little did she know, no meant no. But they have a right to do that. It just needs to be polite, and it needs to just kind of have a socialness about it, right? There needs to be a social awareness. And one of the problems with these companies is that there are deadlines and there are incentives to make certain advancements, to sell a certain amount of products by a certain time or within a certain frame or by a certain month or something like that. And so people will get desperate, quite frankly. It's almost like a person who's desperate to get a date or desperate to get a job or something, and they will just throw themselves out there into the world at people with a passionate plea, please buy my stuff, right? So that's the problem. And that's kind of their issue, right? They need to have the security that if they show up and keep working, it will happen. There's no need to do that. But you need to realize that when your girlfriend spam attacks you like a rabid animal who's not had a meal in weeks, it's probably partly because she doesn't have that sense of security in herself and what she's doing. And that company that she's in wisely, understandably, set some kind of incentive for her to go and pursue a certain amount or certain number of people or whatever by a certain time frame. So she has been told over here, hey, you can do this, you're amazing, we have an incredible offer, and if you do such and such by this time frame, invite enough people into this, you're going to get, whatever, an extra $500 this month or something like that. So of course she thinks, okay, I got to do this, I got to try this. And she attacks with the desperation that if any of you have tried that with men, does not work. Desperation is never attractive, but also inaction is never effective, right? So there's this delicate balance, and most of them aren't hitting it. But another thing that I think you guys should know is that many of these women are finding something in these companies that we who are outside of them don't realize and don't see. And that is one, incredible business training. I have run my business now for over 3 years, and I can tell you right now, I have spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of hours on trying to figure out how to make this airplane fly, right? As they say, build the plane as it flies. Well, I have done that, and it was tricky, and it was tumultuous, and my husband was like, what the heck are you doing? You know, and it was stressful. And now, looking at what business training that these companies offer, for simply the rate of being in the company with whatever, you know, little monthly fee that is, and some of them are much larger than others for sure, you get so much access to these people who are mentoring you and who are telling you how to hack, you know, and really get things done in the most efficient way possible. It's your responsibility to take that action. They can't make you, but there is access to this business training. And I wish I had known. I would have joined one of these things just for the training and not built it. I would have built my own business. So that is something these women are benefiting from. And there's also this incredible sense of positive community. I don't know about you guys, but it is very difficult sometimes to find a community of girlfriends who are positive, who are action takers, who are not going to complain, who are aware of all their shortcomings and the messiness of life, but they're going to keep showing up with a smile on their face and dedication to growth. And that's the kind of things that these companies really provide these people, because the people who are at the top have had to do that, have had to create that to get where they are. And so they're turning around and telling everybody, look, it's all about your mindset. It's all about being positive. It's all about your confidence. It's all about, you know, being grateful for what you have, even as you're going after what you want. And so they create this incredible sense of community that these women are finding there. So the next time you have a girlfriend and you're like, oh no, she joined that thing, I want you to take a step back, and I want you to realize that these companies are not scams, or they would not be in business. They are very closely monitored. They are actually providing a good and a service that many people want or need or find enjoyable in some way. And that keeps them from being a pyramid scheme or a pyramid scam, because just like any other business, the U.S. government, the U.S. military, there is that triangle with the most power and money at the top and all the workers underneath. But because there is an actual good or service being provided rather than just tricking people into signing up for nothing, it's not an actual scam or scheme. So they're signing up for something good. There are so many women, like women who you and I have never heard of. We hear of successful doctors or lawyers or whatever, but it's amazing when you get inside a network marketing company. There are these like superstars who everyone's heard of and is amazed by in that company, and none of us even know who she is. Like, I've never heard of these people, right? So there are many, many women who are doing this really well. Like I said, that unknown floating statistic of 80% of women who've made over 6 figures do it through network marketing. So these girls who are signing up for this have, decent reasons to. But again, there's a good and a bad way to do it. So, do they need to learn to not be desperate? Yes. Do they need to study the company well, make sure they are actually personally passionate about the product so that they can maintain what it takes to build any kind of business, including one of these? Yes. Do they need to not attack their friends, offer it? That's their prerogative. It's your prerogative to say no. It's their prerogative to follow up and check. It's your prerogative to say no again and then drop it, right? And to focus on just the fact that their positivity and not being desperate and creating something is what will bring people in ultimately. So it's tough. I know it's tough for those girls who feel very sometimes desperate and scared. And it's tough for the girls who feel like they're being attacked or turned on almost by a friend who they used to be able to talk to safely. And now she's just constantly trying to pitch her thing. But I just want you to have a heart of love toward these women. I want you to have a deeper understanding of what it is they're doing. And I want you to honestly, to some extent, have a redemptive view of network marketing, because I think particularly our parents' generation, there is such a yucky taste in their mouths around people having to push products. But so many of these companies run so differently now because of online, because of the internet, because of the way business can be done at those big levels and in the small, in your home levels. It's really not as pushy or as gross as it used to be, and it doesn't have to be, and I don't think it ever probably will be again, just because of the competitive market, and these companies are all watching each other, and they're watching companies like Netflix and like Amazon, trying to figure out how do we serve people like these subscription services, which this is very similar to, are doing. So be kind, be compassionate, be savvy, be aware. Know that this is an incredible opportunity for a lot of women who want to bring in that side income from home with that flexibility that we've been talking about. They're just scared. They're not well trained. They don't know how to do it well. Very, very few of them are coming from an online business background. So they're just desperately trying to get their friends to sign up to get that incentive by that, month cutoff or whatever it is. So be gracious. Don't gossip about them behind their backs. Don't trash them with your other friends. Don't feel betrayed when one of them signs up. It's just an opportunity. People come and go from these things all the time, but they're not quite as bad as they look. It's just a matter of how it's done. So be gracious, be compassionate, and if you're interested in one of these things, I think it's fantastic. I have done one, and I think it's been one of my most life-changing things so far, which I'm shocked to say based on the stories I told you at the beginning of being accosted. But there is a lot of positive power and community in there. There's a lot of excellent training, but just like in every area of life, there's a lot of great training around being healthy and working out. There's a lot of great training around having great relationships. There's a lot of great training around being productive at work, but not a lot of people take it and use it and stick with it. And that's the same thing you're seeing here, coupled with that desperation to meet some kind of goal, and you're the target. So just be patient with them. And if after all of our conversations about financial independence and your side income, this is something that you are interested in, then fantastic. I don't think there's anything wrong with these things. I think there are ways to very savvily pick which one you'd like to join, and that's what I'm going to be talking about next week, because there are a lot of factors that people don't consider. They often just go with the pushiest friend, or in the heat of the moment, like, okay, I'll change my life through this thing that I probably will never use. So there are ways to make a very wise decision if this is something that you're interested in. But in the meantime, as you see people come in and go out of them, just be loving, be aware, be compassionate, be considerate, don't trash them, and realize that they may be out in 2 months, or they may actually have stumbled on something that changes their life for the better. So let's be happy for them, okay? I'd love to hear your comments, any questions you guys have about this, and just kind of the view that I have of them, or experiences that you've had, whether you've also been accosted in Starbucks or sent 50 messages or whatever you've had to do. But sometimes this is done beautifully, and I think we should celebrate those women who are trying to create a gorgeous life for themselves and their family and help other people. So that's all I've got this week. I really look forward to reading your comments. Please let me know what you think, and I will be back in to see what you say. And until then, till next time, have a beautiful rest of your week, a beautiful weekend, and we will chat again soon. Bye, ladies. Thank you.